Hello everyone, I'm Jasper Billingsley. I'm an anthropology and Italian studies major here at UNH. My presentation is Uncovering Islam in Colonial North America. By focusing on enslaved West Africans, written records from enslaved peoples and colonizers, and the influence of the Ottoman Empire on English colonizers, I argue that Islam is integral to colonial North America because of its historical legacy. So to collect material, I used a combination of exploratory and archival research in which I looked at primary and secondary sources and personal accounts from enslaved Muslims and English colonizers. Some background info before moving forward is that there's a general lack of knowledge, information, and education on Islam in colonial North America, regardless of its presence here. We do not learn about Islam in public schooling here, but we do learn a lot about Christianity and Judaism. Some more information is that this is during a time of chattel slavery in which some 12.5 million West Africans were taken from their homes and moved to Europe and the Americas. This is also a time of intimacy between European powers and the Ottoman Empire, an empire which at different points in time has been in North Africa, the Middle East, the Balkans, Eastern Europe, and Central Asia, and always has been an Islamic state. I also looked at bills of sale of enslaved peoples, and I tried to look in New England too. I looked through 3 public libraries and archives to see if I could find any Muslim names on them. However, that proved largely unsuccessful because most slaves had their names changed upon capture and or sale. But I do have 2 individuals I want to talk to you about who did keep their names. The first of which is Ibrahim al-Rahman, who wrote a surah, which is a chapter of Al-Fatiha, which is the opening from the Quran, which is the revelation and recitation. For him, writing was a form of worship, and he would write in Arabic to anyone who was curious. This particular one was to one Connie Rackett in Philadelphia. Now, while he did keep his name, most people refer to him as Prince because he was in fact a prince from Timbuktu. The next individual who kept his name, albeit an anglicized version, was Ayuba Suleiman Diallo, or Jah Ben Solomon. He was born in the kingdom of Bundu in what is now southeastern Senegal. He was the son of an imam. He did well for himself. He had 2 wives, 3 sons, and a daughter. And he set out on a trading venture with 2 servants who he intended to sell into slavery to one Captain Pike. And upon receiving a bad deal from Captain Pike, he decided to take his business elsewhere. That did not please Captain Pike, so he captured him and sent him to Kent Island, Maryland, and sold him to a Mr. Tolstoy, so right there. And under Mr. Tolstoy, he was abused and ridiculed and attacked quite a lot for prostrating in prayer. So he decided to escape and made it as far as southeastern Pennsylvania before being captured and sent to Annapolis, Maryland, which is right across the bay from Kent Island. No one could really speak to him because he spoke very little English, and none of his captors spoke Wolof or Arabic. So a Wolof-speaking enslaved person was called upon in order to translate, in which the first thing Suleiman requested was a place to pray, which he was granted. And his story from there spread pretty far and wide until it reached one James Oglethorpe, who was the founder of the anti-slave colony in Georgia, who paid for his freedom in exchange for education about Islam and the Arabic language. He also requested that he go to London to teach his friends the same, and in return again he would finance his return to Bundu, which he did. And he goes back home and further cements trade relations with the English and in the gum trade and the slave trade. I want to turn our attention to English colonizers who captured Suleiman. Most English colonizers before going to West Africa and or the New World spent time fighting, trading, or otherwise engaging in the Ottoman Empire. This was also at a time when there were more enslaved people of English descent in North Africa than there were English colonizers in the New World. One of those being John Smith, who was captured in what is now Romania after a battle. where he was sold into sex slavery and sold on an island called Trogbeck-Zanda in Greece. He eventually escaped, and he fell in love with his captor and named an island after her. He called it Cape Trogbeck-Zanda. It's now Cape Ann, the name got changed. I want to show you a map he drew of Virginia. This is the earliest map of Virginia. And you can see his coat of arms in the corner, which includes the 3 Turk eggs, which he apparently beheaded before being captured. I bring this up to demonstrate that the Ottomans very much had a kind of haunting and ghostly presence over these English colonizers. So much so that John Smith often mistook the local practices of the indigenous Powhatan community for that of the Turks. In the general history of Virginia, New England, and the Summer Islands, Smith writes, if any great commander arrives at the habitation of a werowance, or a chief, they spread a mat as the Turks do a carpet for him to sit upon. And in this book, from my reading of it, he mentions the Turks 10 more times and other locations controlled by the Ottomans and compares them, like the pyramids of Giza. I lastly want to leave you with a quote from one Robert Cushman, who was aboard the Mayflower, which was originally a Mediterranean trading vessel. Cushman writes, and I really think that this captures the English colonizer mindset and fears really well. Should it please God to punish his people in the Christian countries of Europe for their coldness, carnality, wanton abuse of the gospel, contention, etc., either by Turkish slavery or by Popish tyranny, which God forbid, here is a way open for such as have wings to fly into this wilderness. And as the scholar from Yale, Elan McHale, writes, the English colonizer feared both papal tiara and sultanic turban. And here's the Pope and the Sultan at the time of that quote. So why does this matter? I posit that this matters because we are missing a key part in our education. We are not taught about the enslaved Muslims, Islam, and the Ottoman influence on this nation. Muslims are everywhere in this country. They are voters, parents, students, workers, and citizens. And without education, we are doomed to repeat history and continue the cycle of Islamophobia that so many Americans harbor. Thank you.
Run me like a Hellcat.